Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Todd Talk. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind, like it usually is, and something that I think will help you find joy in the everyday. A long time ago, when I recorded the intro to this podcast, part of that message is finding joy in the everyday. And I want to make sure I constantly find ways to return to that idea and that message and draw out ways to help you, whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, or beyond, to find ways to stay grounded and to stay happy and to focus on the things that will help you feel like you can keep moving forward and not the things that will hold you back. So today, I want to talk about acknowledging a universal truth, and that is that change is inevitable, and often it's really, really uncomfortable and not all that desirable. Most people naturally resist change because it disrupts our routine, it disrupts our comfort zone, and sometimes it even disrupts our identity. Now, the episode that released last Sunday was about identity, all about the look at identity and what happens when the things you are known for and praised for are stripped away and what that says about your identity. So I'm going to link that episode in the comments down below. If you want to check out that episode when you're done with this one, I'll put that link right down below. So the change that shows up in our life is usually resisted by people because it disrupts our routine. But if you focus on the change itself, on what's shifting and what's becoming unknown or unsettling, that's what creates the anxiety, the stress, and the sense of instability and just a lack of calm that we typically had before the change took place. So here's an idea I want you to focus on. Focus on the constants in your life. So a constant for you can be in a situation, it can be in your routine, it can be in your family members. There's lots of things that we have that are constants, and a lot of times we don't even look at them or acknowledge them because we kind of always take for granted that they're going to be there. Then change comes along and interrupts our constants and brings us to this place where we get angry and frustrated and upset because we have this sense of instability, and everything becomes a mess. So your constants can be physical things, like your family, like your pets, like your favorite room in your house, like your favorite coffee mug, whatever it is. They can be emotional, your core values, your core beliefs, your fundamental principles, or even things like habits you have developed that work really well for you. Daily rituals, favorite hobbies. Maybe you meditate every day. Do you have coffee at the same time every day? Do you always go for a walk or a run? Those are things that can bring you joy and bring you that sense of stability because they are constant and they make us feel steady. And I want you to remember that those things that exist don't all of a sudden disappear and go away when something changes. And I think a lot of times that's what we focus on. A change shows up and a change happens and we say, oh God, my whole world is crashing down because this one thing has changed. And so often we forget to remember all the constants that are still around us and all the things that have not changed that are still there to back us up and to help us feel steady and grounded. So my message today is about focusing on those and finding ways to make sure you don't lose sight of those even through the difficulty that shows up when change happens. Because these constants can provide an anchor for us, a stable foundation to help whether the uncertainty that change often brings about is big or little, it's still there. So make sure you use those things. And even more than the constants around us, remember that even if change happens to a part of a situation, that there are still things in that situation that will stay the same. If you have a friendship, a relationship, a job, a career, a hobby, a volunteer opportunity, whatever it is, if something within that shifts and changes, that doesn't necessarily mean the entire thing is different or no longer there. Everything is made up of different parts. Everything is the sum of lots of different parts all put together. And oftentimes one thing changes, but the rest of the thing or the opportunity or the involvement or the commitment, friendship, relationship, whatever, like I said, job, volunteer opportunity, a lot of that still stays the same. So even if change happens within a certain place, always remember to focus on the things that are still staying the same that have always made you feel happy about that one thing. If you have a great friendship with someone, and all of a sudden you say, this is great, we see each other all the time, but all of a sudden they move far away, and you don't get to see them as often. Don't focus on the fact that they left. Don't focus on the fact that they moved away and on that change. Focus on the fact that you have built such a beautiful friendship with them, and now you still have all those aspects. You can call them, you can write to them, you can FaceTime, video chat, whatever, Zoom call, take your pick, message, whatever it is. You still have all those things within you about that one specific friendship that are good and that are constant. And all those things that help you feel happy and grounded and like you are a formidable force in this world for good, and you can get up in the morning and be excited because you have this friendship and this person or these people with you. All of that doesn't go away just because they change their physical location. So make sure you don't focus on that specific change within that whole dynamic friendship. And the same is true with relationships. The same is true with career opportunities, with volunteer opportunities, whatever organization you're involved in. If you have forever been a soccer coach and you love coaching and your schedule all of a sudden just didn't line up one day, so you can't coach anymore, now you have to either be an assistant coach or you just have to show up on the sidelines and watch your kid play or cheer for the team. Don't say, oh, I'm no longer a coach, so therefore soccer is awful and it's not a good experience for me anymore. Focus on the fact that you still love going to watch the games, that you love watching soccer, that you love being present for the kids as a resource and someone knowledgeable about the game. Don't just focus on the fact that you had to change your relationship with the sport or the way you show up for the team. Focus on the fact that there are lots of dynamic parts of that experience that you have that you still like and you still find meaningful. And the reason we focus on change as people is, well, let's explore that for a minute. Why do we think that is? This idea popped into my brain before when I was making some notes about this, and I think I just got a new idea about this. So why do we fixate on change? I think a lot of it is fear of the unknown, loss of control, and more so than, well, maybe not more so than those two things, but right along with those two things is the anticipation of difficulty. And that's what just popped into my head. So I've always said, and I've said in previous episodes, that we fear change, we fear the unknown. A lot of us are control freaks, and we don't want to give up control of the thing that's always been the same in our life. But I think a lot of it, too, is the anticipation of difficulty. We hype ourselves up and psych ourselves out and say, hey, listen, this is going to be awful because it's going to be really difficult. Now, we've also talked about in a previous episode how sometimes and oftentimes doing the difficult things provide you the opportunity to also do worthwhile things, because most often easy things don't bring about much positive growth or positive change. But I think that's a big part of it, is we are anticipating it becoming difficult or not fun or aggravating or frustrating or whatever it is, and so we're trying to avoid it altogether. And when that happens, we focus on the change because our brain goes into survival mode and is trying to tell us, hey, listen, keep up because bad things are coming because this has to change. It's never going to be good again. Focus on telling yourself, even though it might not be the same in the future, that doesn't mean it can't be good in the future. And that's a very important line to draw. Just because things will look different doesn't mean they will look bad. So that's important to remember too. Because when you focus on the difficulty and you expect it and you worry that difficulty is going to show up, you give all of your energy to something, well, worrisome for one, but a lot of times, sometimes we can't control change. And if you're giving all your energy to something you can't control, then you're wasting your energy. I have an episode about that too. Don't give your energy away to things you can't control, because that's how we end up with things like burnout, overwhelm, and analysis paralysis, rather than proactively coping with the change and being able to pick up and move forward. And here's what we do to battle that, I think, is we shift our attention and we redirect our focus. So instead of looking at and focusing on the change, we are focusing onto what remains stable and the same. And that, I think, can help ease our stress and make us feel a little bit better. And look, this isn't about denial or ignoring the reality, but it's about balancing your perception. Because yes, things will change. That's fine. But don't put all the weight on that side of the scale. Don't weigh yourself down with, oh, the change is so big and so heavy, and it's always going to outdo and outweigh everything else in the situation. Balance your perception and say, hey, listen, yes, this is pretty heavy and going to be something difficult to walk through and work through, but it by no means outweighs all the good that has already come from this situation, and more importantly, the good things that will still come from this situation even after the change happens. You don't have to always think that just because something is going to be different, that it will be detrimental to you in the long run. It can be different and still be good. And when you notice what's still reliable and you notice what's still going to be there and be steady for you, you can build some emotional resilience, and you can remind yourself that life is not entirely unpredictable. Life is not entirely out of control. Yes, sometimes change is unpredictable. Yes, sometimes change is out of our control, but our entire lives are not like that. It's not the entirety of the situation that the change should be. It's just part of it. And so don't think that life is just always going to be out of control because change is inevitable and we can't control it a lot of times. Remember, life itself is not entirely unpredictable. Yes, it can be at times for sure. Yes, awful things happen, unpredictable things happen, the flat tires, the rainy days, the canceled plans, the injuries, the illness. Like, I get that. That will always happen. But that is not the entirety of our lives. So as you keep walking through this, I'll help you, or I'll remind you of some things you can lean on that you can use as constants in your life. Family or close relationships can be huge. And if you're not someone who's close with your family, that's okay. If you're listening and thinking, well, I don't really have a lot of close friends, that's okay too. But if you foster those relationships with your family or your family members or your friends or the people who are like family to you, foster even one or two of those and deepen the core connection. And when that connection remains, even if something changes in that aspect of your life or an outside aspect of your life, you still have that to rely on. And also, another constant you can rely on, this one thanks to Mother Nature, is natural cycles. The sunrise, the sunset, the seasons, the whole rhythm that is day and night in the seasons is something you can rely on, and something I have used to rely on in my life in a big way. If you followed me for any length of time or hung out with me or listened to me, you know that I am a morning person through and through. I love the mornings. I love getting up before the world is awake, when it's still dark, when things are still waking up in nature, when the birds are just starting to sing their song, when the sun is still down but it's getting ready to make the sky beautiful. I rely on that for a lot of things. One, it makes me feel really good. I love being outside. I love seeing the sunrise. But it also is a constant for me, a constant reminder that even if I have a bad day, even if I have some change take place, even if I have a bunch of hurdles to jump through, I go to bed exhausted, I worry all day about one thing, I make the mistake of giving my energy to something I can't control, and I feel just worn out and depleted at the end of the day. Even if all of those things happen, and mixed in with all that, even if there is some big change that takes place, and if you've listened to any of my last handful of episodes, you'll know that I've had some big changes take place in my life lately. Even if that happens, I can remain steady and I can rest assured, and I've taken that phrase apart a lot in my brain lately, about physically resting and rest assured, right? I'm sleeping and resetting and resting with the assurance that tomorrow morning the sun will rise and the sun will come up and daybreak will show up for me no matter what. Even if it's cloudy, morning is going to show up for me. That time where I love to go outside and sit on my porch and drink my coffee, that is going to come. Even if I had a bad day the day before, my best friend moved away, I stepped down from a role that I've held for a lot of years. These are real life things that I've done. I had some friends of mine move away lately, friends that I love so deeply and dearly, and they moved far away. And I've also had a big change where I stepped down from a position of authority in one of the organizations I'm part of. Big changes happen, but even when that thing happened, even when I felt sad the day that happened, and I had to walk through the change and not try my best not to focus on that, I could rest assured that night, literally, that the next morning the sun was going to come up. I would have the opportunity to take that stable and steady thing with me the sunrise, the morning, the daybreak, that quiet time where everybody else is asleep and so is most of the natural world, get my cup of coffee, go out on my front porch, take a whole bunch of deep breaths, drink my coffee, and reset and start again for the day. And instead of saying, well, as soon as I wake up tomorrow morning, that thing's going to still be different. My friends will still have moved away. I still will have resigned from that organization. Instead of focusing on those things, I could say, hey, listen, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Sun's going to be up whether I like it or not, and I might as well use that time to be a constant in my life to bring about some positivity instead of just assigning lots of negativity to something that changed, especially since it changed the day before. So that's a constant you can rely on. And the sunset is the same. You know, when we talk about things in nature, the sunset is the same as well. The sunrise for me is really important because I love morning. But if you're a night person or you're a sunset person, you can do the same thing. You can say, hey, you know what? The sun is setting on this bad day. It's over. The sun's going to go down for me and say, hey, listen, nighttime is here. It's your time to unwind and relax and go to sleep and have the chance to sleep the day away. It's the same thing. So that is a constant you can rely on for sure. And you can do that with the seasons. You can do that with a specific place. If you live near the water, you can do that with the tide, all right? All those things. Other things you can use as constants, personal values or your spiritual beliefs. Lean heavily into those things you believe in. Lean heavily into your faith if that's a big part of your life. Daily habits or routine that provide you comfort. If you have morning coffee on your porch like I do, if you always go for a walk, if you journal, if you run, if you work out, if you do push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, jumping jacks, yoga, Pilates, I don't care what it is. If there's something physical that you do that's a daily habit, do it. If there's something, even if it's not physical, the coffee habit that you have, awesome. If every morning you get up and you take 10 mindful minutes to be outside and walk around barefoot in the grass, do that. Cling to those constants instead of focusing on the change. And if you have skills or passions that ground you, make sure you rely on those too. If you're someone who loves to paint, or you love to sing, or you love to write, or you love to play music, use those constants in your life too to battle back against the change. Because things like, and just in my head as I was speaking now, the image of a guitar popped into my head. No matter what kind of bad day you have the day before, there are lots of people in this world who, if they sit down for an hour with their guitar in their lap and pluck those strings and slide their fingers across the frets, that grounds them a lot and brings them a lot of joy. So remember those things as you go through the changes in your life. Remember those things are still there. They're not going to give up on you. They are ever present in your life, and you can use them to help you feel steady and grounded and not like you're speeding out of control or like things are never going to be the same. And now I started this by saying that in the opening of the intro of my podcast, I always talk about finding joy in the everyday. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. Intentionally seek joy or contentment in these constants. Give them that power. Give yourself the permission to remember the constant things in your life exist, the habits and the routines and the things, the family and the friends and your faith and whatever else it is. Give yourself permission to remember and rely on those things. And then also seek joy and contentment surrounding those things. Look for the good things. One example I heard years ago that I love is if I asked someone right now to look around the room and find how many brown things in the room they could find. And then I gave you 30 seconds and I said, okay, how many did you find? And you said, well, I found 7. If I said, well, how many blue things did you see? Most people would say maybe 1 because you weren't looking for the blue thing. You were looking for the brown thing. The same is true with positivity and negativity. If I tell you to look around the room and find 10 things that will frustrate you or make you angry or 10 news articles that will let you down or doom scroll social media, you'll find those every time. But if you actively seek out joy and happy things and things that make you content and things that make you smile, then that's what you will find most readily. And we will always find evidence to support what we are looking for. Because I know you might say, well, that thing right there, well, that right there, that picture on my wall is kind of brown, but we're going to count it because I want to increase the number of things I found. The same thing is true with good things and happiness. Well, that's not entirely good. That's only partially good. But you know what? I'm still going to count it because this part of it's really good, so we're going to count it as a good thing. So look for those things. Okay, and look for those things outrightly and look for them on purpose. And practice gratitude for what hasn't changed. And practice gratitude just for the good things in your life. Say out loud what you're grateful for. Tell the people in your life that are worthwhile to you that you're thankful and grateful for them. Do that. Type it in a message. It can take 10 seconds to write a text. Hey, just want to remind you, I love you and I'm really grateful for you. Just when I say thank you so much for all you are to me, you bring my life so much joy, you're always there for me, you're always a sounding board, whatever it is. Tell the people in your life that, because doing that will help you focus and stay focused on the good things that you do have in your life. And look, we won't survive this episode without me making a food reference, because if you guys know me, you know I love food a lot. But little small pleasures like that too can help you find constants. A taste of your favorite meal, your favorite food, okay? Or if you have conversation with someone that you love, have a conversation. Call someone out of the blue that you haven't talked to in a while, but who always can make you feel better. So do that and take those things and use them as sources of stability to help you combat that worry that shows up when we talk about things that change. The joy doesn't negate the challenge of change at all. I'm not saying that if we focus on the good, change will just never happen. Everybody can hold hands and skip through life and it's all sunshine and rainbows. I get that things are tough, and sometimes life is hard. And the joy won't negate the challenge of change, but it will provide you a sustaining force to keep walking through it. Change does not happen overnight. Yes, sometimes the actual instance can be boom and quick, it's over. I turned in a letter of resignation effective immediately. That was pretty quick. But the change itself evolves, and it doesn't just happen quickly and get itself over and done with in a super short amount of time. So as you walk through those things, use joy and happiness and those habits and those constants as a way to provide you a sustaining force to walk through the change. And if you need help or if you need reminders to do this, don't be afraid to write them down. Make a constant list. Grab a piece of paper or your journal or even a note in your phone and write down the things that you're grateful for. Write down the things in your life that remain steady and reflect on those and think about what they mean to you. And as you do that, I guarantee you'll be able to add to the list and keep that list handy. And if you're having a rough day and change shows up and you're having a bad day because things are making you not so happy, take the list out and look at it. Look from the top to the bottom and read those things to yourself and remember what they mean to you and remember how much goodness they have brought you, even in the darkest of times and even in the toughest of times. And use that list to your advantage. Don't be afraid that you wrote them down. Don't say, oh, I shouldn't have to do this. Look, life is hard. Life is not easy, and especially at times, life can be downright demanding, challenging, dreadful, and just overwhelmingly depleting. But when that happens, you have the tools and the ability around you to pick yourself up. You just have to make sure you're using the tools correctly and you're using the things that are right in front of you. So don't be afraid to make a list. Along with making the list, you can develop some kind of habit, too. If you want to make a weekly ritual that reminds you or connects you with those things, awesome. Play your guitar every week. Paint every week. Whatever your outlet is, run every week. Walk every week. Say, put a reminder in your calendar that every Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning before life gets busy, you're going to call this certain friend of yours. Whatever it is, do those things and make sure you're making time for those constants. And use mindfulness to catch yourself when your focus drifts, too, because it will happen. We can do all these things. We can make the list. We can write the things down. But I guarantee one day we'll be like, oh, we're going to start drifting. We're going to walk right towards change because change is easier to focus on. The dreadful things are easier to focus on. The doom scrolling is easier to do. The negativity is so loud all around me. I'm just going to focus on that for a minute. I'll just walk to that side of the island for a couple short minutes, and then we get consumed by it and overwhelmed by it, and we forget to return to the happy side of the island in our brain. So don't do that. Okay, don't get sucked in and don't keep yourself drawn always, all the time to that negativity. You have to be mindful about that. Catch yourself. Tell yourself, oh, man, all right, listen, it's been 15 minutes of doom scrolling. I got to walk away from this thing. Set your phone down, go outside, get some fresh air, have some more coffee, whatever it is. But be mindful of that. And also, don't be afraid to share your constants with your friends or your family as a source of or a way to have some shared support. Tell the people in your life, oh, man, the other day I had an awful day. But, I sat down and I did X, Y, and Z and I felt better. Played that guitar, had a cup of coffee, went for a walk, went to the beach, went for a run, painted a picture. Gosh, it made me feel really good. And that way the support system around you will start to know that when you get overwhelmed or you're having those tough days, they can remind you, hey, play me a song. You always say playing the guitar makes you feel better. You played lately? Have you painted lately? Have you gone for your walk? Whatever it is. Hey, you always say yoga makes you feel so much better. Where's your yoga mat? Do some yoga today. You know what? I'm going to call you in a half hour. I want to know how your yoga session was. Because if you share those things with the people in your life, they can help you remain cognizant of all the tools you've built up, even if sometimes you forget because the change and the negativity has gotten a little overwhelming. So as we wrap up, my friends, here's what I want to leave you with. Change will always come. It's always going to show up. But your experience of change can be shaped by what you hold on to in the moment. The constants in life can serve as beacons of stability. They can help you stay grounded, and they can help you walk through uncertainty. So make sure you are using those constant things in your life, and even those constant things among the change, right? So if it's a situation where something is changing, but there are still some constants in that same situation, don't forget to use those to help you balance out the other side of the scale and balance out the frustration and the worry and the negativity that so often is linked to change. And by pulling joy from what remains steady in your life, you can cultivate contentment, hope, resilience, joy, happiness, lots of things. You can work at it. You can make sure all those things show up in your life by pulling that joy out of the things that remain steady in your life. And remind yourself to tell the people in your life that you love them, that you're thankful for them, that they mean a lot to you, that they are helpful to you, because that can help building your support system. So as we close today, I want to invite you to do something. I want you to reflect on your own constants, and I want you to make a list if you want to, or put them in your journal or a phone note. And I want you to reflect on how those have helped you through a difficult change or a difficult situation lately. And if you want to leave a comment on this podcast, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear what constant things in your life have always helped you stay grounded or feel steady. And if you want to share what difficult situation they helped you walk through. I'll leave you with that, my friends. Thank you, as always, so much for listening. As you walk through the rest of your day today or the rest of your week ahead, please remember to stay grounded, stay happy, focus on the good things, and never, ever forget you're doing a much better job than you think. I believe in you. Keep up the good work. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.